Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Greetings of peace. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May the peace and blessing of the one true God be to each and everyone. Welcome sa ating mga programa, Proclaim the Truth and Expose the Falsehood. Sige. No? Anong dapat natin pag-istoryahan? Okay. No, sige. Ari ang atong pag-istoryahan. This is all related sa mga pagan influences in Christianity. No? Atong pag-istoryahan about ang December 25. Okay. Sige. December 25. Ano ba lang ara sa December 25? Kag ano ang dapat mahibaluan sa sini nga date? No? Gusto ko lang ipaibalo sa aton mga tagpalamati nga ining December 25, this is actually a certain practice nga ginahimo sa mga pagano. No? Istoryahan tayo ni ang actually ang mga Christians wala sing mga biblical proof nga mag-support sini about sa December 25 nga gina-practice sang mga pagano. No, kay kung lang taon ta, ining mga pagano nag-worship sa sun. Or ginahambal natin nga Sol Invictus, the invisible sun. No? So, among dapat natin pag-istoryahan, kag gusto ta ipahayag o expose, nga ining December 25, this is actually pagan nga gina-practice, nga gin-suporta sang Christianity. Now, actually, this is Jesus Christ has nothing to do with this. Ang tanan ng mga pagan practices labi na gid sining December 25. Ano pagid ang dapat mahibaluan? Damo sa mga deviation nga mga rituals nga gin-adapter sang Christianity. Ini siya because of political kag mga cultural circumstances. Ang ginahimo ang mga pagano gin-Christianize ang mga ginahimo sang mga pagano. Butsing ganon, ang mga pagano nag-worship sa adlaw kag ining adlaw related sini nagasimba sila sa adlaw. Kag kun imo lang taon ang mga background sini nga ang kamatuoran nga gin-adoptar lang sang Christianity. Butsing ganon, ining mga practices sang December 25 nagpenetrate lang ini sa Christianity nga mga practices. Kagamuning dapat naton pag-istoryahan. Ining worship of the sun lain-lain ng mga pagano ng mga Jews, halin sa Roman gods, sa mga Greeks, sa mga Egyptian, kag sa Persians, kag sa iban pa. Istoryahan tayo ini. Okay, una sa tanan, ang mga Christians, kung imo lang taon diri, dali lang gid. Okay, no? So aton pag-istoryahan ini ining about sa Sabbath, no? Actually kung imo lang taon, ining Sabbath arin niya sa Biblia. Kag actually si Jesus Christ naga-observe sini kag ginahambal gani nga ining ginahambal naton nga sun nga amoy ini ang ilis sa sining Saturday nga ginhambal. Ang kakatabo bisan ang mga apostolis ng mga early fathers ng church, ang nagsimula gid ni ang pag-worship or a day of worship nga mo ang Sunday tungod sang mga early fathers ng church, kag kustombre ini nga ginahimo mismo sang hari nga si Constantine the Great, no? Kag sang si Constantine nag-convert sa ginasiling nga Christianity, no? Okay. Ang paborito gini Constantine ang pagsimba sang iya nga Dios nga ginakilala nga si Apollo o Sun God ini, kag ang entire nation sang Roma naga-practice sini. So ang mga tao dito, ang mga Romans, ginapuersagid sa pag-worship on Sunday kag hindi sa nung Saturday. Sa ginahambal naton dire, ang Saturday kung imo lang taon dire, amo ni ang gina-practice mismo sa mga early Christians. No, early Christians. So before nga naghari si King Constantine, emperor sang Roma, Sabbath ang day of worship sang mga early Christians. So ang kakatabo nga ang sa Sunday amo ang ginhimo nila nga pinakasentro sining ginahambal naton nga Sunday or ang Sunday actually this is a day worshiping the sun, amo ning Diyos ni Constantine. Ang Diyos ni Constantine amo si Apollo. Amo ini during sang iyang time, no? So ining adlaw, ining Sunday, para mag-tribute sa pagsimba sa inang Diyos ang pagano, kag hindi ini ang ginasimba or ginatagaan sing pagtamod si Jesus Christ. Okay, no? Sige. Padayon kita. Ining Sunday, the Sun God was worshipped officially, no? Once every week sa pagano nga Roma. No? So, amo niyang replacement actually sang Saturday official na magsiling kita nga Sunday, it is the day of the sun. Na? So sa makita naton, ini ang gina-practice mismo sa mga ancient pagan temple ni Apollo. No? Okay. Sandali lang. Okay, no? Sa padayon kita sining aton nga episode. Gusto ko lang ipahibalo nga ini nga practice, ini nga practice ginahimo sang mga pagano. Gina-reiterate ko lang nga ang Sunday gin-replace sa Saturday. Ang Saturday mo ini ang a day nga gin pakamaayo sang Dios bisan dira mismo sa Ten Commandments. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Kag amo man ini gina-practice ni Jesus sa sinagoga. Kag amo man ini gina-practice ni St. Paul kung imo lantawon. Ano ya ang ining Sunday? Or sino niya si Apollo? Si Apollo sa Greek kag Roman mythology was one of the most important and powerful gods. Multi-sided ini nga god of prophecy, god sang purity, spring, music, healing, god of archery, and also a god nga sang mga shepherd, sa mga manugbantay sang mga ubiha. So imo ini lantawon. Ining sun god was officially worshipped before sang Christianity. May ara nga 3,000 years before sang Christianity, gina-worship na iniya sang mga pagano. So ang natabo ining adlaw sa nga Domingo amo ani ang day of worship sa Roman gods. No? Kag ang natabo nga ining Sunday naging official naman nga panimbahon, adlaw sang panimbahon sa mga Christians. Kay isang si Constantino naging emperor. Ang natabo sina diri siya ang naging vital point sang pagsimba sining adlaw nga Domingo or a day of service nila, day of worship. Ginapahibalo nga ina para kay Kristo, but in reality ang purpose ng sini nga ang mga pagano ang ginasimba sa mga pagano is Apollo. So gina-inculcate lang sa mga Christians nga okay, parehas ang naton adlaw, but ibutang niyo ya sa inyo nga mga panguna-una kung magsibagid man kamo sa adlaw nga Domingo, a day of worship ya sa kay Christ. So amo ning katabo. Okay. Ano pa ang mga events or ang dapat naton mahibaluan? Ang Sunday is not God's day, but it's a day of the sun. Sa ginhambal na naton kag ini hindi iya ni Kristo or iya sumulunod o sa mga apostolis, no? But it is actually gina-practice sa templo sang mga sun god or Diyos nga adlaw, no? Okay. Ano pa ang Biblia kung imulang taon diri sa Mark 2:27 gina-plaster diri nga ang Sabbath hindi ang Sunday, it is made for man. Actually, kung nantahon ta, diri si St. Paul mismo sa Acts 17:2, ginaplastar diri nga si St. Paul sa kinaugalian in his manner nga successive Sabbath day nag-aara sa templo kag didto nakipag-istorya sa nakipag-reason together. Ang pinaka ginagamit nila ang scriptures. So may ala sila nga congregation nga sa diin nagatipon si Pablo kag ang iban nga mga apostoles. So ining ginambal ko gani gin-insert lang ini sang ni Constantine para magiging practice sang mga Kristiyano. So ang ginaplastar to sinadiri ang Sabbath kag Sunday. Ang Sabbath kinhimo sang Dios para sa mga tao, but iniyaya ang Sunday nagsugod lang iniyaya sa panahon ni Constantine sang mga 370 plus AD. Ang Sunday nagiging official day of worship ng mga pagano at naging practice naman ng mga Kristiyano. Kasi si Constantine na convert ini sa Christianity. Pero ang natabo na convert sa Christianity, ang gina-practice kay siya ang medyo ruler sa sinanga panahon, siya masyado ka influensya, ang kakatabo ya nga initanan na officially gina-practice mismo to worship sang Kristiyano mostly sa kay Christ, na hindi na sa kay Apollo. So kung di mo lang taon, this is actually an accommodation. Gin-accommodate siya sang Kristiyano ang mga practices sang pagano. Kaya gusto ni Constantine actually di masiling naton na magiging mabakod ang iyang panindugan. So ang grupo sa mga pagano kag sang mga Kristiyano gin-isa niya kag diri na nagsugod ining mga paganong nga influensya sa Kristiyano labi ni gid ining December 25. Ang pag-worship sining Sabbath day ginahimo ini sa mga Hudiyo kag even sa mga Gentiles. Ginambal diri sa Acts 18:4, and he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks. Ini si Pablo ini kag amuni ang ginahimo. So si Pablo kun imo lang taon, initially ang sandi niya hindi ni kwan, sang wala pa nag Kristiyano si Constantine ang gina-practice sa mga Hudiyo, kag sa mga early Christians amuya ang pag-worship sining adlaw sa adlaw nga Sabado or on the seventh day. Inatawag ini nga Sabbath. Okay. In the New Testament actually madamo nga mga Sabbath ang nabutang dira kag ini gina practice mismo ni Pablo kag sang iya mga companion, buting ganon nagkuan sila going together or nag-gather together. Ang purpose lang ni nga magkaroon sila sa mga services, pero ang natabo sini gin-authorized mismo kag na-influensyahan sila sa mga pagano nga practices. Reason nga ang current subong mostly Catholicism worship sa Day of the Sun or Sunday. Okay. Ang panimulang taon hasta subong ang mga Kristiyano mostly maliban lang sa mga Adventist abidara kung ining pag-worship sa Day of the Sun, Sunday, day para sa adlaw. Kaya kung imo lang taon bala, ining 7 days, this is actually a pagan mga practices. Ang Lunes, this is refer sa luna, or moon, a day worship of the moon. Lunes. Ang Martes, worship of planet Mars, Martis. Ang Mercuries, this is a day worship sa Mercury. Mercury nga planeta. Ang Huwebes, this is actually worship sa Jupiter. This is a pagan practice tanan. Ang Friday, Biyernes, this is actually Venus. Ang Saturday, this is actually Saturn. Ining Sol Invictus nga si Saturnalia, amon ining simba man sa Saturn. Ang pagbutang bala sini, ang pag-naming, ang Saturday actually initially para ina a day of worship sa matuod na Diyos. So ang mga pagano ginpangalanan initanan. Ang mga pangalan talaga ang pinaka originate original sini ng mga rason. Ang Lunes is Moon God, Martes is Mars, Merkulis is Mercury, Huwebes is Jupiter, Biyernes is Venus, Saturn amuning Saturday. Ang pinakaadlaw, ang pag-worship niya sa pinakasentro, amunya ang sun, amunya tawag na Sunday. Okay? So, amuna kung nang taon tang mga background. Actually, ang kakatabusin ang mga original nga mga practices, halin ini sa Afro-Semitic religion culture. Buting ganon, sa mga Hudiyo, amo iniya ang pag-practice sining Saturday or Saturn, or ginambal mismo sa Ten Commandments amuning pinaka 7th day, that is actually Saturday. Pero tungod kay influensyado sa pagano, ginpangalanan ni tanan ang 7 days of the week actually sa panahon na sang pagano, this is actually ang sentro, ang pag-worship sa mga heavenly bodies. Sa ginambal ko na, ang pinaka number 1 nga heavenly bodies nga worship nila is nothing but the sun. Tapos ang moon, ang Mars, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, and so on and so forth. Okay. So, ang katabusin nga gin-influensyahan sining ginhambal naton nga Eurocentric culture. Butsing ganon, ang culture sang mga Europeans amo ang nangibabaw. So isa sa mga European diri amo ini ang Roma. Ang Roma. So natabo. Ang kakatabo lang di para ang Christianity ang mga ginahimo diri mag-agree mismo sa mga pagano amo ni ang ginahimo, no? So ginadoptar ang iyang pagano ang mga social religious style medyo gin-accommodate mismo sa Christianity. Ang mga gina-practice ang mga Europeans, labi na gid ang mga Romans, actually nagiging influential. Okay. Kunin mo lang taon sang year 325, ini ang panahon nga si Constantine, actually siya na ang pinaka-Roman emperor, no? So diri na penetrate mismo ang Christianity sang tanan nga mga fairy tales, mga absurdities, kag mga fiesta, kag mga mga kasayahan mismo, celebration sa mga Diyos nila kung imo lantawon, no? So ang dapat naton himuon diri, ang Biblia mismo naghambal, we ought to obey God rather than men. So ini mga pagan practices nga after some time i-deklarar ko kag i-plastar ko. Ini gusto ko nga aton nga pamalandungan. Aton nga pamalandungan. Kaga isa pa, ini tanan ginhimo sang tao. Halin ini actually sa mga pagano nga imperyor, sa nagligad ginplastar ko di ining Easter Sunday. It is actually a day nga si medyo nabanhaw ang Diyos nga si Easter Easter. Okay, isa-isahon tani bala para maintindihan ta. Ini tanan nga mga pagan practices, like for example Halloween, hindi ni Kristiyano ng origin mo. Ini ang Easter Sunday, hindi man ni Kristiyano. Ining Christmas, hindi man ni Kristiyano, kundi iyan ni tanan sang mga pagano. No? So isa-isahon naton ini kag aton hibaluon nga ini tanan actually nagadeviate kita sa kamatuoran. Ang natabo, gin-accommodate ang mga practices sang pagano, gin-islanta ang sogo sang Dios, gintagaan taya pagtamod, gintagaan tabugat, kag ginasunod diya sang mga tao ang utos or ang ginasunod nila hindi na ang Diyos kundi ang tao. Kainitanan iya sang mga pagano ini mo, no? Ang mga practices, like for example si Emperor Constantine. Okay, so isa-isaw naton, no? Kung imo lang taon ining mga pagano nagasimbaya sa Sunday, the day of the sun, nagagather sila, nagahimo sila sa ilang mga pag-worship sa mga gathering on Sunday. Kag ini siya influensyado sang mga Roman emperor, no? Pero ang natabo sini, lalo na ang Catholicism, gin-adoptar nila ini sa before sining Sabado, before Sabado ang day of worship, now gin-accommodate mismo sang Christianity. So natabo ang pag-worship sa day of the sun, which is Sunday, sa Diyos nila nga si Apollo sa Roma, si Mitra naman sa Grigo, kag sa iban nga mga iban nga mga cults, mga friends and relatives. Isa-isahan natin ini, ining ang ginahimo diri nga ang teaching, ang doktrina sang tao amo ang ginsunod sang mga Kristiyano. Supposed to be sa diri sa Mark 7:13-14, that you have to follow the commandment of God. Ang natabo ginpanginuwala or wala sing bugat ining commandment sang Dios, kundi gin-adoptar nila ya ang doktrina kag mga teaching nga ginhimo sang tao. Okay, isa-isa tayo ni. Si Mitra. Sino bala si Mitra? This is actually the god of the sun in ancient Persian religion. Sa Persia, ang ngalan sini is Mitra, ang Diyos nga nag-celebrate sa birthday nila, December 25. Ginatawag ini sa nga invincible sun or Sol Invictus. So during sa Roman Empire, Mithraism was a significant competitor sa early Christianity. So muni, kung nga ang original sang December 25, hindi actually sa kay Christ, kay actually ang madamo sa mga scholars nga naghambal nga ang December 25 is not really the birth date of Jesus. So ang kakatabo, gin-kopya or gin-accommodate ang order ni Constantine na instead nga magsimba sila sa adlaw nga Sabado, magsimba na lang sila sa adlaw nga Domingo, because ang Domingo, it is a day of the sun god. Sun day. It is a day of the sun. So ginatawag ng invincible sun or Sol Invictus. Si Mitra. Sino pa? Diri sa ining ginambal naton nga Sol Invictus, a Roman god ini associated with the sun. Ginambal diri nga his festival, Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, was celebrated on December 25. This is the Sol Invictus, the invincible sun. Okay, ano pa ang gusto natin ibaloon diri? Ang Saturn. Saturn, a Roman god of agriculture. Nga ginatabo man sini, may mga practices ini from 17 to 23. Ginatawag nga Saturnalia, times ang feasting nila. So amo ni actually ang natabo sining mga pila ka mga days ini from 17, ining hambal nila simbang gabi. This is actually in celebration si Saturnalia, kag ang December 25 is his birthday. So ini siya si Saturn ini or ginahambal nga ining Saturnalia. Festival of Saturnalia nga ang pinaka subject sining aton nga sang ilang pag-worship ini ang god of agriculture, which is actually si Saturn. Ano pa? Kunin mo lang taon diri si Horus, ancient Egyptian mythology. Sun god ba din siya? A god of the sky and the kingship. Depict siya as a falcon, falcon head bala. Kag ining ginahambal nga ining December 25 iyaman birthday ni Horus ining Egyptian mythology. Basta nga ining December 25 actually, this is an accommodation sa mga pagano nga mga practice. So pamangkutuntang aton mga kilala nga mga Kristiyano, dapati bila ka mo masisos na tao sa ining December 25 nga ginatawag ini Christmas. So amo ning dako nga pamangkot naton. Ang ginaplastar ko na diri, gina-reiterate ko kag akon line of reasoning nga ang Christianity was influenced by the pagan. So ang December 25 isa ni siya ka mga kun nga na influensyahan ang Kristiyano sang mga pagano. Okay, si Odin. Sino si Odin? Si Odin was a chief god and ruler of Asgard. It is associated with god of wisdom, god of war, god of poetry. So December 25 ini siya ginakilala nga ang mga tao nag-celebrate sining pag-honor sa ining Diyos nila nga si Odin, nga coincide man ini sa winter solstice. Kunin mo lang taon ang winter solstice, ga fall ini siya sa December 25. No? Parehas ini nga ginahimo mismo sang other pagan festival ini si Odin. No? Ano pa? Kunin mo lang taon, this is actually mga December 25 nga kwan ini nga mga gina-practice o birthday sang sini nga mga Diyos. No? Si Attis, fiery gland and later Roman mythology ni siya. Si Attis was god of vegetation kag associated ini sa rebirth and fertility. No? So ginambal man ini sa winter solstice man nga naga-fall sa December 25 ang iyang birthday, si Attis. No? Ako ni mo lang taon, si Thamos man, isa ni siya ka Diyos sa Mesopotamian mythology nga god of vegetation man ni siya and fertility. May ara siya nga death and celebration of his resurrection ini si Thamos nga na patay man in 3 days na banhaw kag ini siya natabo man sang winter solstice. Ti pag sila nga winter solstice ini siya actually na full sa December, December 25. Kag isa-isahon tayo ni karon dugay-dugay. Ano pa gid? Sino pa? Kadamo sa mga gods mo si Adonis. Greek mythology man ini siya. Youth ini siya nga anak sang isa ka Diyos man nga si Aphrodite. Iyang death na resurrection was celebrated kag siling mystery religion, including ini sang coincide man sang winter solstice, parehas sang iban nga mga religion. So December 25 man ini kung imo lang taon sa aton nakita nga mga pagan religion. So in December 25 isa ni siya ka mga factor nga mahambal kita nga ang Christianity na influensyahan sang mga pagano. No, si Baal, ancient Semitic religion ini nga god of the storm and fertility man. Tawag ini siya December 25 man. Nga gina-practice man sining festival sa panahon ni Baal. So winter solstice man ni common parehas man sang nila ni Mitra, nila ni Adonis, nila ni Attis, no, ni Dionysius and so on and so forth. So December 25 man. So pagano ini siya nga katabo ini siya may ara nga 4,000 years before Christ. May ara nga 3,000 years before Christ, may ara nga 2,500 years before Christ, but sing ganon, ining nga celebration, gina-celebrate mismo in celebration sining mga pagan gods. So, December 25, pagan gods ini. Si Jupiter, sa Roman mythology, he is the king of the gods, si Jupiter, associated ini siya sa thunder and lightning, kag nag-celebrate man ang iyang birthday December 25, kag ini siya prominence mismo sa Roman religion, like influence sa mga natabo nga ang iyang kapanganakan ara man around sa winter solstice. So common ini, common ang pamangkot lang si Christ bala na tao man bala sa December 25. The answer is no. The answer is no. According sa mga scholars, December 25, this is only an accommodation. Para kabalo ka, si Constantine, isa ka pagano mo. So may mga templo siya, ng mga templo, ang mga tao dito mga pagano, nagasimba sa ila nga Diyos. Kaya ginasimba nila sa adlaw nga Domingo. Kaya nga, sun god, a day of the sun. Pero natabo sang nagkristyano na si Constantine, amo nang iyang ruling, kag kung sinong hindi magtuman, may mga consequences nga matabo. So amo na, ining mga bagay-bagay. Si Bacchus man December 25 man, kag ini siya may mga festival man ini ang ginatawag nga Bacchanalia. No? So may feasting, grabe nga mga ininom, grabe nga kasadyahan ang ginahimo sini. Kag natabo man ini around sa winter solstice. Bakos ini nga Diyos man ini. No? Diyos man ini nga ang iyang origin is pagano, kag ang December 25 nga birthday ni Bacchus amo man ang gina-celebrate sa mga Kristiyano later. So in the name of Christ lang, parehas nga date, parehas nga templo, pero ang gina-worship kuno sa mga Kristiyano si Christ, ang gina-worship sa mga pagano si Bacchus, si Odin, si Mitra, si Attis, si Dionysius, and so on and so forth. No? So muning katabo, no? Si Isis niya muning mother ni, the mother of God. Kung imo lang taon, amo ni siya ang anak niya nga si Horus, Virginia kuno si Isis. So kung imo lang taon sa mga templo nila, sa templo nila may ara nga mother and son. Si Isis ang nanay, ang bata si Horus. Sa sinang nga templo man, ang mga Kristiyano nagabisita. In return, sila kuno sa ila panguna-una, ina si Isis, amo si Mary, ina si Horus, amo si Jesus Christ. So lain mga itsura. This is actually may mga worship of mga image, mga rebulto. So si Isis ang mother of God, si Horus ang son of God. Pero actually ang ginatabo nila hindi nga is O-N, but son God ini is U-N. Diyos nga adlaw ini si Horus. So amo na, no? Isa pa. Ini nga mga practices kung imo lang taon. This is actually worship sa sini nga adlaw. Kunin mo lang taon bala, ining imo lang taon tabla pamati ang tabla ining mga defect na ton sa inyo. Ariyo lang tawa bala. Kun imo
these attributes of Horus.
Ari dahil lang gid. Kun imo lang taon. Okay.
Whether original or not,
seem to permeate many cultures of the world, for many other gods are found to have the same general mythological structure. Attis of Phrygia, born of the Virgin Nana on December 25th, crucified, placed in a tomb. This is the sun. As far back as 10,000 BC, history is abundant with carvings and writings reflecting people's respect and adoration for this object. And it is simple to understand why, as every morning the sun would rise, bringing vision, warmth, and security, saving man from the cold, blind, predator-filled darkness of night. Without it, the cultures understood the crops would not grow and life on the planet would not survive. These realities made the sun the most adored object of all time. Likewise, they were also very aware of the stars. The tracking of the stars allowed them to recognize and anticipate events which occurred over long periods of time, such as eclipses and full moons. They in turn cataloged celestial groups into what we know today as constellations. This is the cross of the zodiac, one of the oldest conceptual images in human history. It reflects the sun as it figuratively passes through the 12 major constellations over the course of a year. It also reflects the 12 months of the year, the 4 seasons, and the solstices and equinoxes. The term zodiac relates to the fact that constellations were anthropomorphized, or personified, as figures or animals. In other words, the early civilizations did not just follow the sun and stars, they personified them with elaborate myths involving their movements and relationships. The sun, with its life-giving and saving qualities, was personified as a representative of the unseen creator or God, God's Son, the light of the world, the savior of humankind. Likewise, the 12 constellations represented places of travel for God's Son, and were identified by names, usually representing elements of nature that happened during that period of time. For example, Aquarius, the water bearer, who brings the spring rains. This is Horus. He is the sun god of Egypt of around 3000 BC. He is the sun anthropomorphized, and his life is a series of allegorical myths involving the sun's movement in the sky. From the ancient hieroglyphics in Egypt, we know much about this solar messiah. For instance, Horus, being the sun or the light, had an enemy known as Set, and Set was the personification of the darkness or night. And, metaphorically speaking, every morning Horus would win the battle against Set, while in the evening Set would conquer Horus and send him into the underworld. It is important to note that dark versus light, or good versus evil, is one of the most ubiquitous mythological dualities ever known, and is still expressed on many levels to this day. Broadly speaking, the story of Horus is as follows. Horus was born on December 25th of the Virgin Isis Mary. His birth was accompanied by a star in the east, and upon his birth he was adored by 3 kings. At the age of 12, he was a prodigal child teacher, and at the age of 30, he was baptized by a figure known as Anup, and thus began his ministry. Horus had 12 disciples he traveled about with, performing miracles such as healing the sick and walking on water. Horus was known by many gestural names such as the Truth, the Light, God's Anointed Son, the Good Shepherd, the Lamb of God, and many others. After being betrayed by Typhon, Horus was crucified, buried for 3 days, and thus resurrected. These attributes of Horus, whether original or not, seem to permeate many cultures of the world, for many other gods are found to have the same general mythological structure. Attis of Phrygia, born of the Virgin Nana on December 25th, crucified, placed in a tomb, and after 3 days was resurrected. Krishna of India, born of the Virgin Devaki with a star in the east signaling his coming. He performed miracles with his disciples, and upon his death was resurrected. Dionysius of Greece, born of a virgin on December 25th, was a traveling teacher who performed miracles such as turning water into wine. He was referred to as the King of Kings, God's only begotten Son, the Alpha and Omega, and many others. And, upon his death, he was resurrected. Mithra of Persia, born of a virgin on December 25th, he had 12 disciples and performed miracles, and upon his death was buried for 3 days and thus resurrected. He was also referred to as the Truth, the Light, and many others. Interestingly, the sacred day of worship of Mithra was Sunday. The fact of the matter is, there are numerous saviors from different periods from all over the world which subscribe to these general characteristics. The question remains, why these attributes? Why the virgin birth on December 25th? Why dead for 3 days in the inevitable resurrection? Why 12 disciples or followers? To find out, let's examine the most recent of the solar messiahs. Jesus Christ was born of the Virgin Mary on December 25th in Bethlehem. His birth was announced by a star in the east, which 3 kings or magi followed to locate and adorn the new Savior. He was a child teacher at 12, and at the age of 30 he was baptized by John the Baptist, and thus began his ministry. Jesus had 12 disciples, which he traveled about with, performing miracles such as healing the sick, walking on water, raising the dead. He was also known as the King of Kings, the Son of God, the Light of the World, the Alpha and Omega, the Lamb of God, and many, many others. After being betrayed by his disciple Judas and sold for 30 pieces of silver, he was crucified, placed in a tomb, and after 3 days was resurrected and ascended into heaven. First of all, the birth sequence is completely astrological. The star in the east is Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, which, on December 24th, aligns with the 3 brightest stars in Orion's belt. These 3 bright stars in Orion's belt are called today what they were called in ancient times, the 3 kings. And the 3 kings and the brightest star, Sirius, all point to the place of the sunrise on December 25th. This is why the 3 kings follow the star in the east, in order to locate the sunrise, the birth of the sun. The Virgin Mary is the constellation Virgo, also known as Virgo the Virgin. Virgo in Latin means virgin. Virgo is also referred to as the house of bread, and the representation of Virgo is a virgin holding a sheaf of wheat. This house of bread and its symbol of wheat represents August and September, the time of harvest. In turn, Bethlehem in fact literally translates to house of bread. Bethlehem is thus a reference to the constellation Virgo, a place in the sky, not on Earth. There's another very interesting phenomenon that occurs around December 25th, or the winter solstice. From the summer solstice to the winter solstice, the days become shorter and colder. And from the perspective of the northern hemisphere, the sun appears to move south and get smaller and more scarce. The shortening of the days and the expiration of the crops when approaching the winter solstice symbolize the process of death to the ancients. It was the death of the sun. And by December 22nd, the sun's demise was fully realized, for the sun, having moved south continually for 6 months, makes it to its lowest point in the sky. Here a curious thing occurs. The sun stops moving south, at least perceivably, for 3 days. And during this 3-day pause, the sun resides in the vicinity of the Southern Cross, or Crux, constellation. And after this time, on December 25th, the sun moves 1 degree, this time north, foreshadowing longer days, warmth, and spring. And thus it was said, the sun died on the cross, was dead for 3 days, only to be resurrected or born again. This is why Jesus and numerous other sun gods share the crucifixion, 3-day death, and resurrection concept. It is the sun's transition period before it shifts its direction back into the northern hemisphere, bringing spring and thus salvation. However, they did not celebrate the resurrection of the sun until the spring equinox, or Easter. This is because at the spring equinox, the sun officially overpowers the evil darkness, as daytime thereafter becomes longer in duration than the night, and the revitalizing conditions of spring emerge. Now, probably the most obvious of all the astrological symbolism around Jesus regards the 12 disciples. They are simply the 12 constellations of the zodiac, which Jesus, being the sun, travels about with. In fact, the number 12 is replete throughout the Bible. Coming back to the cross of the zodiac, the figurative life of the sun, this was not just an artistic expression or tool to track the sun's movement. It was also a pagan spiritual symbol, the shorthand of which looked like this. This is not a symbol of Christianity. It is a pagan adaptation of the cross of the zodiac. This is why Jesus in early occult art is always shown with his head on the cross, for Jesus is the Son of God, the light of the world, the risen Savior, who will come again, as it does every morning, the glory of God, who defends against the works of darkness, as he is born again every morning, and can be seen coming in the clouds, up in heaven, with his crown of thorns, or sun rays. Now, of the many astronomical metaphors in the Bible, one of the most important has to do with the ages. Throughout the scriptures, there are numerous references to the age. In order to understand this, we need to be familiar with a phenomenon known as the precession of the equinoxes. The ancient Egyptians, along with cultures long before them, recognized that approximately every 2150 years, the sunrise on the morning of the spring equinox would occur in a different sign of the zodiac. This has to do with a slow, angular wobble that the Earth maintains as it rotates on its axis. It is called a precession because the constellations go backwards rather than through the normal yearly cycle. The amount of time it takes for the precession to go through all 12 signs is roughly 25,765 years. This is also called the Great Year, and ancient societies were very aware of this, and they referred to each 2150-year period as an age. From 4300 BC to 2150 BC, it was the age of Taurus, the bull. From 2150 BC to 1 AD, it was the age of Aries, the ram. And from 1 AD to 2150 AD, it is the age of Pisces, the age we are still in to this day. And in and around 2150, we will enter the new age, the age of Aquarius. Now, the Bible reflects, broadly speaking, a symbolic movement through 3 ages while foreshadowing a 4th. In the Old Testament, when Moses comes down Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments, he is very upset to see his people worshiping a golden bull calf. In fact, he shattered the stone tablets and instructed his people to kill each other in order to purify themselves. Most biblical scholars will attribute this anger to the fact that the Israelites were worshiping a false idol or something to that effect. The reality is, the golden bull is Taurus the bull, and Moses represents the new age of Aries the ram. This is why Jews even today still blow the ram's horn. Moses represents the new age of Aries, and upon the new age, everyone must shed the old age. Other deities mark these transitions as well, such as Mithra, a pre-Christian god who kills the bull in the same symbology. Now Jesus is the figure who ushers in the age following Aries, the age of Pisces, or the 2 fish. Fish symbolism is very abundant in the New Testament. Jesus feeds 5,000 people with bread and 2 fish. When he begins his ministry walking along Galilee, he befriends 2 fishermen who follow him. And I think we have all seen the Jesus fish on the back of people's cars. Little do they know what it actually means. It is a pagan astrological symbolism for the sun's kingdom during the age of Pisces. Also, Jesus' assumed birth date is essentially the start of this age. At Luke 22:10, when Jesus is asked by his disciples where the last Passover would be, Jesus replies, "Behold, when ye are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entereth in." This scripture is by far one of the most revealing of all the astrological references. The man bearing the pitcher of water is Aquarius, the water bearer, who is always pictured as a man pouring out a pitcher of water. He represents the age after Pisces, and when the sun, God's Son, leaves the age of Pisces, Jesus, it will go into the house of Aquarius, as Aquarius follows Pisces in the precession of the equinoxes. All Jesus is saying is that after the age of Pisces will come the age of Aquarius. Now, we have all heard about the end times and the end of the world. The cartoonish depictions in the book of Revelation aside, the main source of this idea comes from Matthew 28:20, where Jesus says, "I will be with you even to the end of the world." However, in the King James Version, world is a mistranslation, among many mistranslations. The actual word being used is eon, which means age. I will be with you even to the end of the age, which is true, as Jesus' solar Piscean personification will end when the sun enters the age of Aquarius. The entire concept of end times and the end of the world is a misinterpreted astrological allegory. Let's tell that to the approximately 100 million people in America who believe the end of the world is coming. Furthermore, the character of Jesus being a literary and astrological hybrid is most explicitly a plagiarization of the Egyptian sun god Horus. For example, inscribed about 3,500 years ago on the walls at the Temple of Luxor in Egypt are images of the Annunciation, the miracle conception, the birth, and the adoration of Horus. The images begin with Thoth announcing to the Virgin Isis that she will conceive Horus, then Neph, the Holy Ghost, impregnating the Virgin, and then the virgin birth and the adoration. This is exactly the story of Jesus' miracle conception. In fact, the literary similarities between the Egyptian religion and the Christian religion are staggering. plagiarism is continuous. The story of Noah and Noah's Ark is taken directly from tradition. The concept of the Great Flood is ubiquitous throughout the ancient world, with over 200 cited claims in different periods and times. However, one need look no further for a pre-Christian source than the Epic of Gilgamesh, written in 2600 BC. This story talks of a great flood commanded by God, an ark with saved animals upon it, and even the release and return of a dove, all held in common with the biblical story among many other similarities. And then there is the plagiarized story of Moses. Upon Moses' birth, it is said that he was placed in a reed basket and set adrift in a river in order to avoid infanticide. He was later rescued by a daughter of royalty and raised by her as a prince. This baby in a basket story was lifted directly from the myth of Sargon of Akkad of around 2250 BC. Sargon was born, placed in a reed basket in order to avoid infanticide, and set adrift in a river. He was in turn rescued and raised by Aki, a royal midwife. Furthermore, Moses is known as the lawgiver, the giver of the Ten Commandments, the Mosaic Law. However, the idea of a law being passed from God to a prophet up on a mountain is also a very old motif. Moses is just another lawgiver in a long line of lawgivers in mythological history. In India, Manu was the great lawgiver. In Crete, Minos ascended Mount Dicta, where Zeus gave him the sacred laws, while in Egypt there was Meses, who carried stone tablets and upon them the laws of God were written. Manu, Minos, Meses, Moses. And as far as the Ten Commandments, they are taken outright from spell 125 in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. What the Book of the Dead phrased, "I have not stolen," became "Thou shalt not steal." "I have not killed," became "Thou shalt not kill." "I have not told lies," became "Thou shalt not bear false witness," and so forth. In fact, the Egyptian religion is likely the primary foundational basis for the Judeo-Christian theology. Baptism, afterlife, final judgment, virgin birth, death and resurrection, crucifixion, the Ark of the Covenant, circumcision, saviors, Holy Communion, Great Flood, Easter, Christmas, Passover, and many, many more are all attributes of Egyptian ideas long predating Christianity and Judaism. Justin Martyr, one of the first Christian historians and defenders, wrote, "When we say that he, Jesus Christ, our teacher, was produced without sexual union, was crucified and died and rose again and ascended into heaven, we propound nothing different from what you believe regarding those who you esteem sons of Jupiter." In a different writing, Justin Martyr said, "He was born of a virgin, accept this in common with what you believe of Perseus." It's obvious that Justin and other early Christians knew how similar Christianity was to the pagan religions. However, Justin had a solution. As far as he was concerned, the devil did it. The devil had the foresight to come before Christ and create his characteristics in the pagan world.
Fundamentalist Christianity, fascinating. These people actually believe the world is 12,000 years old. Swear to God. I actually asked one of these guys, okay, dinosaur fossils. He says, dinosaur fossils? God put those here to test our faith. I think God put you here to test my faith, dude.
The Bible is nothing more than an astrotheological literary hybrid, just like nearly all religious myths before it. In fact, the aspect of transference of one character's attributes to a new character can be found within the book itself. In the Old Testament, there is the story of Joseph. Joseph was a prototype for Jesus. Joseph was born of a miracle birth. Jesus was born of a miracle birth. Joseph was of 12 brothers. Jesus had 12 disciples. Joseph was sold for 20 pieces of silver. Jesus was sold for 30 pieces of silver. Brother Judah suggests the sale of Joseph. Disciple Judas suggests the sale of Jesus. Joseph began his work at the age of 30. Jesus began his work at the age of 30. The parallels go on and on. Furthermore, is there any non-biblical historical evidence of any person living with the name Jesus, the son of Mary, who traveled about with 12 followers, healing people and the like? There are numerous historians who lived in and around the Mediterranean either during or soon after the assumed life of Jesus. How many of these historians document this figure? Not one. However, to be fair, that doesn't mean defenders of the historical Jesus haven't claimed the contrary. 4 historians are typically referenced to justify Jesus' existence. Pliny the Younger, Suetonius, and Tacitus are the first 3. Each one of their entries consists of only a few sentences at best, and only refer to Christus or the Christ, which in fact is not a name but a title. It means the Anointed One. The 4th source is Josephus, and this source has been proven to be a forgery for hundreds of years. Sadly, it is still cited as truth.
Salamat po sa lahat-lahat at gusto ko lang po na makita ninyo ang mga presentation natin. Hindi naman porque pinakita ko, you are forced to believe. Ang sa akin lang po, gusto ko ipahayag sa inyo na itong research ko ay gusto ko makita din ninyo na ang Christianity is really influenced by the pagan religion. No? So itong December 25, sa susunod po, pag-usapan natin ang Christmas. Kung ang Christmas ba, pag-usapan din natin yung Santa Claus. Pag-usapan din natin yung pagkatao ni Jesus Christ. Kailan ba siya pinanganak? Yung Christmas is actually Christ Mass or X-Mass. So, ito ay pag-usapan natin. At sa ulitin, ako po ay si Engineer Rooney Albao, ang inyong Bible Falsehood Exposer. May the peace and blessing of the one true God be with you all. Sa ulitin, an Islamic greetings. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May the peace and blessing of the one true God be to each and everyone. Salamat po at ano kayo, no? Ano nyo yung ating channel. Pwede like kayo, subscribe at i-share nyo po ang ating programa. Sa ulitin, wish ko po na tayo ay lahat ay nasa magandang katawan, healthy po tayo, magpalayo tayo sa mga sickness. So, yan po ang wish natin. Gusto ko po na makatulong sa ating pananampalataya. Gusto ko lang po na ipakita sa inyo na ang real Christianity wala po tayong question. Ang tanong ko lang po, baka yung Christianity na alam natin is actually influenced by paganism. Isa sa mga paganism na inadapt ng Christianity ay yung Trinity. Pag-usapan natin Christmas, pag-usapan din natin ang Trinity, pag-usapan din natin yung falsehood of resurrection, pag-usapan din natin yung falsehood ng salvation na ino-offer ng Christianity. Salamat po. Nasa mabuting kamay po tayo. Salamat at salamat sa lahat.